We begin the 98th chapter of the book of Tehillim, and as we said the other day, we're in the chapters that we sing on Friday night as part of the Kabbalat Shabbat when we go out and greet God, Shekhinah. And we talked about how there was sort of a chiastic structure. So chapter 96, which we looked at 2 days ago, Shir Lashem Shir Chadash, and chapter 98, which we look at right now, begins Mizmor Shiru LaHashem Shir Chadash, which is, it's not so easy. Maybe, it was easy for Lennon and McCartney, but it's not always so easy to write a new song. So here we're being told about a new song. Now, a new song doesn't mean we have to write a new song, but we're going to sing to the Lord a new song. It's going to be a new world. Why? Because God has done wonders. Hoshialo Yemino, Uzroa Kacho, his right hand, his holy arm has won him, that is God, victory. And if we talk about yesterday's chapter, there was judgment, there was justice. Can't say it was full-fledged apocalypse like we saw, let's say, in the books of Yechezkel, or we'll see in future books. But God, there was the damage, and then there was fear and trepidation when God's judgment came to the world. But the righteous worked out for the righteous. Right, the righteous are rejoicing. The end of last chapter. Now we can sing this new song, now that God has revealed himself, now that we're living in a world that is really morally and ethically sound, etc., etc. Continuing in verse 2, and this is a chapter again about singing and joy. God has manifested, has let known his victory. He's shown it, like, right, his triumph is seen by all the nations. All the nations have seen it, and all the nations are joyous in that victory. Zachar chasto ve'emunato leveit Yisrael ra'u cholav se'aretz et Yeshuat Eloheinu. He remembered the kindness and the love towards the house of Israel, and everybody all over the four corners of the world, afsei aretz, they saw God's victory. They saw the Jewish people relieved from the suffering that we have endured for far too long. Everybody saw it. And thus, now that everybody has seen, everybody understands, everybody has witnessed the glory of God, the return to decency and morality and equity, everybody should shout out. All the earth should break off into joyous songs of praise. Kumbaya, my Lord, or whatever song you want to sing. Shout joy, happiness at the eradication, at the, getting rid of the evils. Zamrula Adonai bechinor, bechinor, v'kol zimra. Sing praise to God with the lyre, make a joyous, a great song. B'chasotzrot v'kol shofar hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai. With trumpets and the blasts of the horn, raise a shout before the Lord of the King. Of course, we started to blast the shofar as now we've reached Chodesh Elul, the month of Elul. We hear the sound of the shofar in the Beit HaMikdash. The shofar was accompanied by chatzotzrot, by trumpets. The shofar would go for longer than the trumpets, but there was a whole, I don't know if the word symphony isn't fully accurate, but we'll say there was a symphony, there was a band, there was a group playing music. And so here we're using all of our musical skills to reach out to God at this moment. Chatzotzrot, with the shofar, with the kinor, we'll play this kol zimra. Yiram hayam umloo tevel v'yoshveva. Let the sea and all within it thunder. Right? Let the world and all its inhabitants shake. Neharot shimcha uchaf yachad harim yiranenu. Let the rivers clap their hands. Let the mountains sing joyously together. And we've seen this in the last number of chapters. And this is part of the reason it's done on Shabbat, seventh day of creation. God rests from the creation of the entire world, not just the Jews and not just humanity. Adam, the idea of the Torah, the father of all, Chava, the mother of all humans, the plants, we don't have animals so much here, but the plants, the trees, the rivers, all of creation is now realized to be part of God's creation, part of this moral, equitable, universe and world that is running the right way, and moving the right direction, and the arc of justice is bending very quickly, or it has already bent, and now it's on the right path, and therefore the whole world is rejoicing. The symphony is everything in creation. And why is this all happening? Lifnei Adonai kiva lishbot haaretz, yishbot tevel b'tzedek ve'amim b'mei sharem. This is all happening in a sense to welcome God, in front of God, in the presence of God. Same way we started chapter 95, we talked about the generation that didn't listen to God, didn't follow God's ways, and so we are going out to greet God. Here God is coming, and the whole world, the rivers, the mountains, the oceans, the sea, the Jews, the Gentiles, everybody is coming out, is singing this new song, this this kumbaya, this a whole world united together. Why? Because now we know we'll have a world that's run justly, and the peoples and everybody will be judged equally. Everybody will be judged kindly, and things will really work in a way that the world was originally established to work, where God wanted the full equity for everybody. And so it's almost as if, the mountains and the rivers, and maybe the mountains say, this one waged war unfairly against that one. And the rivers say, well, these ones, took a boat and snuck up against this one. It's not all just, paintings of Washington crossing the Delaware. But now everybody's working equitably. When I think of water in the Torah, we know Mayim is Chayim, Mayim is life. Water brings life. I may point it out to you right after Kriyat Yamsuf, the splitting of the Red Sea, where the Jews come through and finally done with the Egyptians. What happens? The Jews go to Meribah, if I remember, and the water is bitter. And I like to think the water is bitter because water is supposed to be an instrument of life. And what did the water just do? It just drowned thousands of Egyptians. Now they were pursuing the Jews. Maybe that was what was necessary. The Jews were allowed to sing, but the water, which should be a vehicle of life, has become a vehicle of death. And so here, perhaps part of what's going on is when this equity is going to happen, when the world is working properly and it's moral and it's sound and it's God's justice in the right way, what's going to happen? The mountains and the rivers and the plains and all of creation is no longer seen as a method and a way of the creation of death, of destruction, of fraud, of horrors. It's all singing this new song, and everybody's joyous because it's singing a song of the world in the way in which it was supposed to, the way it was initially, hopefully, created for.